I know that's probably a little bit nerdy for you, but that's what you get.
Hi again. My name is Rebel and I'm the Rebel Reseller. And today we're doing the second half of my What Sold video again. Um, for last weekend, Friday through Sunday, March 21st through the 23rd. And for 2 weekends in a row now, my sales have been really good on Friday and Saturday and pretty pathetic on Sunday. So it's almost like, okay, eBay's not working on stuff on Fridays and Saturdays, and we're able to sell stuff, and then the days that they are working on stuff, it's like blah blah. I mean, my sales have been awful. And I know I'm just, you know, saying the same thing that I'm seeing a lot of other people say in, Facebook posts and in other YouTube comments.
But it's good to hear that because that lets you know that, hey, I'm not doing something wrong. There's not something wrong with my store. This is
Mm-mm.
either a site wide or this is an eBay issue at some level, whether it's eBay's doing something wrong. There's, people have redirected their purchasing choices, or people are just not spending as much for whatever reason.
But I know stuff is happening because let me tell you what happened to me last week, Thursday. Y'all know every day I do end and sell similar. I've talked about this for years. And because of the size of my store, I do 400 items every single day. It's the next 400 that are about to end. And I do 200 at a time. Well, Thursday, when I did my 200, when I went to unsolds, I ended 200. When I went to unsolds, only 83 were there. And so I kept refreshing the screen, refreshing the screen, refreshing the screen, and only those 83 ever showed up there. And I thought, like a dummy, and I've said before, know your numbers before you start, ending and sell similar. How many active listings do you have so that you can make sure that what's happening, you end 200, it should go down 200. You should have 200 in your unsolds. And then when you delete your unsolds after you've done sell similar, you should have the 200 back. So it should all be, well, I didn't. And so I wasn't quite sure. And the numbers seemed odd. But I went ahead and did sell similar on those 83 that were sitting there, and the others never came back. What I thought was the 200. So I thought maybe it was just a glitch. Friday morning, I get up and get ready to do my end and sell similar. Some more of them from Thursday have showed up in my unsold. Again, I don't know how many exactly I should have had, but it still was not the 200. So, I double checked to make sure that for some reason these were still listed, and somehow, eBay glitches sometime. Maybe they got pulled from somewhere else and they really didn't need to be, but no, they needed to be done sell similar to, and then I deleted them. All's well and good, right? Saturday morning I wake up and there's more of them from my unsold, like 20 from the unsolds, and it was the same thing. So for 3 days, it took them to get to my unsold so that I could do sell similar. And my friend Beth said maybe it had something to do with, February being 28 days and this month being 31, but it shouldn't have gone over 3 days. I don't think. It was just the oddest thing ever. Now, I've done end and sell similar the last, Sunday morning and Monday morning, and everything's been fine. I made sure to write down the numbers so that I knew that I ended 200 and then I, did sell similar to 200. So,
Did you download the inventory?
no.
She's supposed to be. I showed her how to download your inventory. So if you're concerned about that sort of thing, or you just want to keep a regular track on in case eBay loses something, you can go into my eBay reports,
Reports,
downloads, select inventory, and then I think it's
active listings.
active listings, and download them and save them on your computer in the cloud somewhere. And then just if you're going to do the end and sell similar, I'm trying to get her to do that every day before she does that. So if there is something wrong, I can always go back and pull up what was there and we could make sure that something's not missing. It would be a pain, but it'd be less of a pain than having no clue what was there. And then, you do that for a week, and you could start deleting the old ones once you keep it for a few days or a month or whatever. So it's pretty easy to download. It downloads it in CSV format, which is comma separated value, but it opens in Excel or Google Sheets.
Yeah. And then also, I use List Perfectly.
You no longer keep the list perfectly linked to your current eBay listing,
Right.
because you're doing the end and sell similar.
Right. And I just decided, not to continue with the letting it delist and all of that stuff for me. I'm just doing, but every single day I am putting my inventory over all my new listings over into List Perfectly, basically as a backup, so that if for some reason something was to happen to, either eBay dropped it or I accidentally deleted stuff, I'm going to have those items in List Perfectly so that I won't have to redo my pictures.
You just cross-listed straight back to eBay and you're set, right?
Yeah, it would be easy peasy. So, that is one of the added benefits for any of these programs, where you can put your listings in there and it saves them for you. So that's how I'm using List Perfectly right now. Plus, I'm going ahead and using it to cross list to Etsy, and I'm still using the AI stuff to help me get titles and descriptions for clothing items. So I'm still doing that.
Reseller Genie.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've got one more month of the My Reseller Genie, free month of the, what's the level?
I think it's their ultimate. It's their
Yeah,
top
their
plan.
ultimate level of their services. So one more time in this video, in the comments, if you are interested in a free month of their services, go ahead and put Genie, Genie, and then later this week, again, we'll do that random comment thing and we will pick a new winner.
We're planning to do that on Friday.
Okay, so yeah, Friday.
Friday's
and that
What's
way,
Sold video.
You'll have a little bit of time left to try to get your taxes in order. Yeah, we've got to get ours done. I mean, we're ready. We just need to go in and start.
They need to be filed.
Yeah.
I did the work in My Reseller Genie back in January so we could pay our fourth quarter estimated taxes. So I have everything imported into My Reseller Genie. We just have to transfer that into TurboTax to get the thing done. And also to do another sanity check to make sure, did we forget to pull in our cash spending from that spreadsheet? Which we're planning to show you how to do that in our next, well, not the next, but the next after the next haul video. We're going to be talking about how we do that. But just to make sure I didn't forget something, right? Because it's all the deductions you can claim as a reseller. You've got home office and cell phone and internet and mileage and supplies here and supplies there, your cash spending, travel, any of that stuff. You want to make sure you get it all in there so that you take every deduction that you're legally allowed to take.
Yep. All right, now let's get to what sold. I had 3 sales to share with you on Etsy. The first one were these wood Easter ornaments, lot of 12 from 1995. They were from McCrory stores. I found a few things from that. I've never been to that store. I'm assuming it's probably no longer in existence. But I found a couple of plush and stuff like this from there. These sold for $13.45. And then these little Tykes Beauty Salon hot curlers with their clips. I found 3 of these. I want to say at the bins, maybe. I can't remember. Definitely worth picking up anytime you find the little Tykes. These hot curlers, the curling iron, the blow dryer, they do very, very well. The 3 curlers with the clips sold for $17.95. And then I picked Madeline up at my favorite little estate sale company. I bought a bulk lot of stuff. She was probably $3, $4, $5. I can't quite remember. She's larger. I had not seen this Christmas version of the doll, and she sold on Etsy for $22.45. All right, and then eBay. Lots and lots of low dollar stuff. I'm still trying to push out the old stuff that I've had listed since before 2022. You know, we're doing lots of low offer, I mean, high percent offers, just trying to get that stuff moved. You know, I've started picking differently, probably especially since I started doing these videos. So I'm trying to get rid of some of the old stuff. Which these were old. They were Ljubljana Poland square bowls. I had 3 of them. I still hadn't combined them yet. I'm slowly but surely pulling my single dishes and making lots. But I sold the 2 bowls for $12.58. Gund Classic Eeyore plush sold for $10. Auto Week car magazine. Many years ago, I bought a couple of cases of car magazines and then they sat. Forced myself last year to go through them and list them in lots based on the magazine and, was it annuals or, 12 to a year, whatever it was. They have been very slow sellers. Probably won't do that again. But I sold these 5 for $15.26.
You had to get rid of the one with Kathy Ireland on the cover, though, didn't you?
That was probably one of the first ones that went. All right, nylon Easter rabbit plush from International Silver Company. I think this is one of those ones where I had one, then I found another, and I ended the listing, added this one, bumped the price, and it sold. The 2 of them sold for $26.95. And anytime I sell a nylon plush, don't use Puffalumps unless it's Fisher Price. Wish Pets Riley the brown dog plush. Wish Pets is just one of those brands. I picked them up, but they are very low dollar and they take a while to sell. I don't pick them up very often anymore unless they're like a dog or a cat. This one was, sold for $9.86. I thought this was just unique. It was a vintage Coleman camping wind-up clothesline. Probably picked up at the bins, so I probably paid a quarter or 50 cents for it. Sold for $7.62. Pieces and parts to small appliances. This was CTC Pasta Express Maker. This was just the little paddle mixer piece, and it sold for $8.96. This is from the Peanuts lot that I purchased last year at an estate sale. I paid $150 for 5 totes, just full of vintage peanut stuff. This lunchbox sold for $10. Douglas Brown Pug Dog Plush. This was listed back in November, had a higher price on it. And usually when I get a price like this, when I'm talking a little bit higher dollar stuff, I tend to go in and check out comps and listed to see, what's happening these days with this. I noticed there were a few of these pugs listed for less than $30 now. When you're doing comps during fourth quarter, the prices tend to be a little bit higher than normal. Which is why I would have picked a $50, but now that we're past and the just sales aren't where they want to be, $30 for a plush is exactly why I went ahead and accepted it. Webkins, unless they have their tags or they are the signature gold ones, for the most part they are bread and butter. They are hard to sell. I have lots of just small lots of them, and they sell very slowly. These 2 little leopards sold for $11.66. All right, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Toka Technodrome accessories. How did I know that these 2 little tiny pieces belong to that series? Action Figures ID group on Facebook was the one that told me. I use a little calendar when I have a lot of small pieces I want to get identified, and you just kind of lay them in the square so that they're numbered. And then as soon as you post them, you start getting immediate answers. These people on that Facebook group know their stuff. So at some point, I had submitted a whole bunch of stuff. I still have stuff that had been identified that I've not listed. I need to get back to doing that. And I have a bunch that I still need to submit. But anytime you have small pieces, just make a post over there and you'll get your answer almost immediately. But these two little teeny tiny pieces sold for $17.95. Kohl's, Cares, Curious George, just decided, you know, I've talked about making lots of these going forward. Anytime I get like if you give a mouse a muffin, just any of those, the peanuts, Curious George, I've started making lots. These two sold for $17.95. Snowman Bean Plush from MTY International. That's a vintage brand. I am pretty sure that brand, TB Trading Company, Dandy International, all of those were pretty much sold at like Walmart and maybe Kmart. I tend to pick up a lot of that brand because I know they are vintage. This snowman sold for $9.86. Aurora White Poodle Plush. Most of the small 6 to 8 inch Auroras are bread and butter. For some reason, this little poodle, cute as it could be, was worth a little bit more. Sold for $15.25. As long as I've been doing this, 26 years as of this month, I still check everything I list. I'm going to check comps. I'm going to check listed. I'm going to check WorthPoint if I need to, because I want to maximize the most that I can get. And just because I know most of the Auroras sell, you know, would be something that I would list for $9.95, I'm still going to check because things like this. Story time. Sold this BF Goodrich ice bucket replacement. Person contacted me. They are an international buyer, wanted me to ship it to a freight forwarder. No problem. I got a message from him this morning saying it's on its way back to you because he gave me an incorrect address. And which funny thing is it was at the post office today when I went to drop off packages. I don't think I have a happy buyer because he's wanting me just to throw on a new, I don't think they understand our postal system, wants me just to throw on a new address and use the same number because he doesn't want to pay shipping and taxes again. So
the taxes will be refunded?
Yeah.
But if he messed up the address, the shipping's on him.
Yeah, so I went ahead. He hadn't opened up a claim or anything. I went ahead and gave him a refund of the $35. And I'm just waiting to see if he's going to respond or if he's just going to buy it again. I haven't relisted it yet. I'm going to after this video, but I'm going to just relist it. If he wants to buy it again, that's fine. If not, that's fine also. But yeah, I was not going to give him the original shipping back.
What was the other crazy message you got this week? Somebody telling you that your 48 jeans were actually size 38, and you explained that they're 48 brand jeans, not 48 size jeans, which could be a little confusing, but once explained to the person sending the message, you would think they would realize what was going on.
No, he had to argue that I'm confusing because the jeans are called 48 jeans. I couldn't get him to understand that's the brand. But yeah, he kept arguing and called me dude. Believe me, I typed an answer to the whole dude and then backspaced it out because it wasn't very professional. But I got it off I'm not a dude. But
I have used the backspace key on my keyboard more than any other key.
Yeah, just arguing because the jeans, I couldn't get him to understand the brand is 48 jean. 48 jeans. So, who knows? I didn't hear back from him. So hopefully when I sent him a message this long, he understood what I was saying. All right.
He's probably telling a story about some crazy seller on eBay that won't change their listing.
Just going to put 48, 36, 32, just all of the number, keyword spam in it, so every pair of jeans that I list gets pulled up on a search. No, I don't have time for that.
That's an idea though. What if you put that in the description? Just count 1, 2, 3, 4, up to like 50 or something.
I see, yeah, I see a lot of stuff that I'm not sure why. Keyword spamming, I see it all the time. All right, these are some glove hand puppets. Again, I had 2 listed, found the pink pig, so again, ended the listing, added the 3rd puppet, and they sold for $13.95. You know, I have people question me in comments a lot of times on why do I end my listings and how do I go about adding. Let me go ahead and turn this $13.95 off because I can't look at the pictures with that on there. But right here's the original picture. And so when I take a listing down, you know, here's the next pictures. I'm putting them all together. When I go to add something to a listing and that I'm going to change, I just throw the 3rd item in there, take that picture, and then I go down. I'll show you here. Then I take pictures of just that one item. You know, here's his front, his back, his underside. I even put a picture of them all together with the new weight, which normally I delete that. But then I just add the photos, take the main one back to the top, up my price, and then submit. I've got a new listing and easy peasy. Not a whole lot of extra work for me. All right, House of Lloyd, gray Mama Mouse plush. I like House of Lloyd. It's also Christmas around the world. I tend to pick up a lot of that, especially at estate sales. This mouse sold for $29.71. Gund, Sesame Street Elmo, and Big Bird sold for $14.95. American Eagle women's shorts sold for $11. I started making more lots. Even with my Fisher Price Little People, I used to do small lots. They just aren't selling the way they used to. So I'm pivoting. I'm making larger lots, larger people lots, larger, just hopefully getting stuff to move easier and quicker that way. This was just furniture from the castle, the home sweet home. I think that's about it in there. And they sold very quickly, $20.20. Again, this was probably a pound, maybe, of stuff, probably less than a pound. So I wouldn't have paid more than $2 or so for all of it. So it's still a good profit. All right, this was a Polly Pocket Bluebird set that I picked up at the Sasha estate sale. This compact was actually in a bag with a bunch of McDonald's Polly Pocket compacts. I was pleasantly surprised when I opened it up and it had 2 figures and 2 bunny rabbits. It was called Pretty Bunnies set from 1993, and it sold very quickly for an offer of $50. Tomy Nintendo Pokemon figures. Don't find them very often anymore. I think a lot of these were in my Profit Pile stuff that you Google Lensed, figured out who they were. But I've mentioned this before. There's a lot of small figure resellers now when we go to the bins. That's all they're doing is they've got their little bag over their shoulder and all they're doing is digging for smalls. So I don't find them very often. But when I do, yard sales, stuff like that, then I'll go ahead and pick them up and make small lots like this. This lot of, 2, 4, 6, 8 sold for $30.56. American Eagle bootcut jeans, $15.05. Aurora Gray Elephant from 2018, very cute, sold for $17.95. Spark Create Imagine. I like picking up, especially the dogs. This one, I actually have 4 of them. This first one has sold, though, for $17.95. Anytime I'm processing stuff, especially like a Spark Create Imagine, I go to my active listings to see if I have one listed. I check to see if I've got one listed, see if the tags are the same, the dimensions are the same. And if I do, then I just up the quantity and put it in the same bin as the other ones. you know, when you sell as many toys as I do, I tend to check quite often to make sure I don't have one, so I don't have duplicate listing. Not that they're duplicate, but I don't have to end up with 4 Spark Create Imagine plush listings when I could just have one. Day Trip Aries Skinny Women's Jeans sold for $15.01. Spark Create and Imagine, again, this giraffe sold for $22.91. Six Flags Dino the Dinosaur Plush. I think this was a Ben's pickup. I just listed it in January. Took an offer of $20 for it. Walmart White Dog Plush with the red heart nose. I've done very well with this whole series. They are in different sizes. Like this one was only 8 inches tall. Some of them are really long, but they all have this heart nose and they're flat. You know, they're floppy. I've done really well. This one sold for $26.95. Eden Pink Sleepy Eyes doll. I find this one a couple of times a year. This one did have some condition issues. Sold for $10. All right, Calvin Klein men's jeans sold for $18.88. And then my 2 best sales of the weekend. First was this Disney Posh Paws Tigger and Eeyore plush lot. I had never heard of that series before, but now I found a couple of them. These 2 sold for $50. And then last but not least, this Barney and Baby Bop dinosaur comforter and bedsheet set. I picked these up at the Habitat Restore for $10. Took me a while to get them listed because we didn't have our photo board set up where we do clothes, and I wanted to be able to, you know, show all of the different parts of the sheets and the comforter to show that there were no stains, because if you don't show it, you're probably going to get a liar buyer who says that they got it and it was stained or torn or whatever. So I try to show everything in my pictures. So it took me a while to get the board set up, but now we're back in action as far as getting clothes processed. But that was a nice sale from $10 to $85. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget Genie in the comments to get the last free month of my Reseller Genie Ultimate package. And yes, I ended up getting a tetanus shot. Me and the barbed wire had a run-in. I blame it on Robert. Robert parked near a pasture that had been mowed. Well, the barbed wire was like down under the grass that had been mowed, and as I walked by, it grabbed my ankle. Come to find out, and I didn't realize it till this morning, it also got me across my leg. So yeah, I ended up getting a shot. It's just a never ending with me. All right, y'all, get to work. Bye.